Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just want to sit here and say thank you guys for more than 500 subscribers. I have another video about boot camp, and today's video is how to prepare for boot camp. Whether you've decided where you want to go, whether you've already are in the process of applying, this is going to help you because I know this is what I wish I had done or what I have done that had helped me. The first thing is give yourself at least 2 months to prepare for a boot camp, okay? I'm talking about dedicating your life before the boot camp. Sometimes you're gonna have to take at least 5 hours a day to prepare and actually understand what it means to be a programmer. So that is why I say at least 2 months. For me, it was much longer, but I wasn't doing it as aggressively to prepare, and I had already been through one boot camp that I was gonna get into, but I couldn't because I couldn't afford it. And so it had taken me a while to get to the boot camp that I graduated from, which is Full Stack Academy. But overall, I say at least 2 months to dedicate your time to. The reason why I believe it's important to prepare is because boot camp is going to be so intense where yes, you'll have an introductory lesson about SQL, for example, and relational databases. However, during the day you're going to be learning how to actually seed a file and actually design a database, and it's a really intense thing to do. And it's gonna be like that every single day at a boot camp. It's like learning the basics and then going into depth and then actually building something off of it. So I would say first thing is to use books as a resources, whether it's Eloquent, JavaScript, or learn Python the hard way. I never learned Python, so I'm just like literally I just googled what Python books are. But really get these books, because these books will teach you the in-depth about these languages. So if you have done your research about the bootcamp, they will tell you that, oh, we learned JavaScript or Ruby or Python, or we program in that language, but they're not going to sit down and tell you, oh, this is what the delete operator does, and this is you know, they might brush up on the call stack. Like for JavaScript, it's last in first out. But it's up to you to really understand what you're doing, because there's going to be a time in the bootcamp where you're out by yourself and you can't get any help, and you're going to have to understand the language and understand why your code is not working and understand bugs and all of that. And reading those books are going to be a very good way of actually getting to the point and actually being a better programmer. As far as like the code, you can try things like Code Wars or LeetCode, but don't just memorize the code and be like, oh, I know how to search a string, you know. Why is it working? Like, why is your code working that way? Like, just don't memorize it. Programming is not like a thing to just memorize. You have to really understand what you're doing. So in Code Wars and LeetCode, what I like is that these problems can be challenging, depending on your skill level. Even if you have been doing it for a while, you can still find challenging problems there. So when you're going through a challenging code, you want to at least give yourself 10 to 15 minutes to solve the problem. And if you can't solve the problem, then look for the answer. You don't want to look at it right away because you're not going to learn how to solve it. And then once you do look at the answer, go back to the problem, don't look at it again for another 5-10 minutes, whatever, and then actually see if you can memorize it from memory or not. And just keep doing that over and over again until you actually understand the problem and understand how to solve it. Because otherwise it's not going to give you any help, especially when it comes to the interviews for the bootcamp. If they're asking you questions that you've never seen before, questions that you never memorized before, you're not going to understand how to solve. Really dive in and understand the problem. Don't be embarrassed to spend 30 minutes on it or to an hour on a problem just to understand it, because every single programmer was just like you. People from Mark Zuckerberg to Bill Gates, they were all like you. They just sat in their room and they just try to understand code. That's it. So it might take you longer, it might take you quicker, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You want to get that down pat, because at Bootcamp it's all about solving problems and solving things in a quickly fashion. So you want to be able to get that down pat, like at least for the moment, understand. It doesn't matter if it takes you a long time, because eventually it's going to take you quicker to solve problems, and quicker once you understand the methods, the data structures, and all of that goes into solving a code. Another tip is to get rid of distraction. If you just know who you are before going to this bootcamp, I would suggest you sit down with yourself, understand what is your distraction. Is it your emails? Is it your text messages? Is it the dog playing outside in front of your window? Get rid of those distractions, seriously, because in bootcamp you're not going to have any free time. Most of the time you won't have free time. Like, that's just gonna be it. Your life is gonna drastically change. It's a 24/7 thing. You're probably gonna be sleeping thinking about code. Like, in your dreams you're gonna be dreaming about code. Like, that's how intense it is. And the reason why I'm saying that to do it before is because that's gonna be the only way you're gonna really understand programming and code. There is this one guy, his name is Jason Ben. If you read the book, what's it called, Deep Work by Cal Newport, he talks about him within the first few pages of the book. And basically he quit his job, he moved back to his parents' house, and for 5 hours every single day he locked himself in a room. He had textbooks and index cards, because he was at the point where even just opening his laptop, he had to check emails. He was so distracted. So the only thing he could do was lock himself in a room, get rid of the computer, and actually just read books. And it's weird, because you think of coding, it's computer, you need your computer, but if your computer is distracting you, you have to, get rid of it for until you're at the point where when you open your computer, you no longer are distracted. Set deadlines for yourself. Say, okay, I'm gonna do 5 coding problems right now, or I'm gonna learn 5 new terms. Set deadlines for yourself, because that's what bootcamp is as well. It's about deadlines, and that's what I liked about it, is that I didn't really have time to be distracted by much, because I was in class pretty much the entire day, and then all I had left was to sleep, so I can wake up and have energy for the morning and the next day. So basically, I feel like getting rid of distractions helps you learn. There's no other way to learn. You can say that, oh, today I coded, but you realize that you didn't spend as much time because you were on Instagram or checking your posts or whatever. It's really, really important to really dive in and deep into understanding what this is. That's the only way I feel you can be a great programmer, is if you really understand the languages, the syntaxes, the APIs, and the designs and the data structures, and that's how you can be a great programmer. Another thing is to practice your data structures and algorithms. The reason why I'm saying this is because some boot camps don't really go into depth about how to practice them. Some don't even do it at all. So you need to take that into consideration and take that into your own hands. I would say read the Cracking the Code interview from beginning to the end, to the end to the beginning, until you understand what you're reading, because let me tell you, once you get to bootcamp, you're not going to have much time to understand data structures and algos. And in the technical interviews, they're going to ask you really basic, I guess once you graduate, they seem basic, but they're going to ask you pretty basic interview questions. But afterwards, there's going to be interview questions from companies that will ask you more complex questions that you have to understand and complete in a timely manner. So practice not only just coding and reading like books, like in resources like Cracking the Code, or there's a Udemy course that I'll link below that has a JavaScript point of view when it comes to data structures and algos. but make sure that you have those resources in hand, because you're not gonna have any time to really practice on your own. Lastly, I would say read a lot of blog posts, YouTube videos of past bootcamp grads. I was able to see how a day-to-day life was because someone from my bootcamp wrote a post about it. Like, she blogged her entire experience, so I knew what to expect every single day. And even if it's not from the exact bootcamp that you're going to, at least you'll have an idea as to what a bootcamp entails, what you'll be learning, and it will help you to pick out what exact resources you need to prepare, so that when you do get to the bootcamp, you're not as shocked and you're not as stressed, because it can be very stressful learning all these new concepts in such a short time. So that's pretty much my tips and advice on how to prepare for a bootcamp. Keep coding, code every single day, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're frustrated, just keep coding every single day. That's like my final point and summarization of all this. Keep coding and keep learning. Be really, really passionate about this, because it's going to be your life for the next 4 or 3 months. And you know, you got this. You are going to be great. You're going to be excelling in this program. So don't worry. Just take these tips and advice and you will do so well in the boot camp. Alright, so that was all for today. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment, subscribe, and like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!